Hello and welcome to Dance Bants. I'm your host and who am I? Keithless. And today I am here with Maxwell Douglas, aka Thv Flood.
Max started as a self-taught dancer at 11 years old in the Queensland suburb of Ipswich. He has since gained knowledge in many street styles and represents Gravemines, Hot Shot Crew and Bang Universe in Australia and Demolition Crew and Concrete Fam in the USA. Max was the first winner of Australia's Briz Asia Battle, which brought him to Singapore to rep Australia at RF Jam. Most importantly, Max has pioneered his own style of dance called Flood Dance, which we are about to discuss in great depth. Please welcome Maxwell Douglas.
So the three big questions, what do you reckon?
I reckon it's pretty rainy today. That's what I reckon.
Yeah, it's actually about to flood. And we're in the garage where the flooding happens, where the carving happens. But we'll get to that later. Because question 2, have you ever shat yourself?
Yeah, I think when I was like 3.
You remember that?
Yeah, it's pretty carve. Fuck, man. I was in Japan.
Uh-huh.
I just shit my pants, bro. But that's the last time I can remember shitting myself. As an adult, though, I don't think so, eh?
Sick.
Because I'm always on the toilet. So it's
Yeah.
like pretty impossible. Everyone knows that I sit on the throne.
Yeah,
So
right.
laying cables, it's a bit rare for me to not lay a cable through the carve, you know?
What percentage of the time when you're on the throne are you laying the cable and versus not?
It's like a phase, eh? You start off, you're prepping,
Yeah.
you lay it, and then there's like an aftermath, and then you just got to go with the flow.
What, does anything happen in the aftermath, or that's just sitting and reflecting?
Depends if you do a Teflon ghosty, bro.
Right,
Do you know what a Teflon ghost
right.
is?
Yeah.
Yeah, carve.
3, are you afraid of dying?
Yeah, I'm afraid of dying, eh? I don't want to die. I want to live.
Yeah, nah. Yeah, nah. Have you ever stolen something?
Yeah, when I think I was 8, and I took Lego from the school library. For those that know me know I love Lego. And I left it in my pocket, and I went to pee, and I left the library with the Lego in my pocket, and I nearly started crying, and I took it back to the library, and my teacher, the librarian, her name was Miss Whiteley, she was real nice. She was like, oh, it's all right, trying to, and then let me keep the Lego.
Or do you cry?
Not really, eh? I don't cry that much.
Can you speak another language?
Yeah, Japanese.
That's sick. Can you sing?
Nah.
Can you play a musical instrument?
Yeah. Play flute.
Oh, fuck me too.
Really?
For real. Yeah, let's do
carve.
a duo.
Yeah, fuck yeah. No,
wow,
yeah, I played
that's
flute.
random as Max.
That's real random. Yeah, I played flute. Did a bit of brush drums.
Oh, just the brushes?
Just the brushes.
Why?
Dad's a jazz
sick.
fan.
Yeah.
My dad, my whole family are musicians.
Do you have an enemy?
Nah, no enemies.
Ballet or jazz?
Wait,
Yeah.
is this dance?
Well, yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know what they're like, really, eh?
Wiggles or high five?
Fuck. Nah, Wiggles can't.
Yeah, you'd be Wigs. Matt Corby at Carol's in the Domain or at Splendor in the Grass?
Around here, there's none of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, bro? There's fuck all going on.
Yeah, sick. Big show or intimate informal showing?
Probably an intimate one. I never done a fuck off big show like a concert shit.
Left turn or left kick?
Well, I'm left-handed.
You do a little hitch kick too.
Really?
Yeah, a little
What's that? Oh yeah,
the knee up.
Right,
then you
right.
slap.
Oh, is that a hitch kick?
Yeah.
Well, what do? I think I do that with my left. So yeah, left kick.
Beginner tap or advanced tap?
Probably beginner tap. Yeah.
Okay, yeah or nah?
Nah, yeah.
Nah, yeah. give us a real quick rundown of your story, but then also I feel like with you there's like the elephant in the room, and I like feel like we need to address immediately like what's going on.
Fucking well, yeah, all right. Maybe I'll just give like an origin story or something.
Yeah.
Like I was born in Japan and then I moved to Australia when I was like 5.
Whoa.
Something like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's big. Do you remember the two?
I'm very fond of Japan because it was like I'm there and then it's like one portion of my life, and then come to Australia there's like stark differences.
Did you go back?
Yeah, we go back here and there and that.
That helps the memory, I feel like.
For sure, definitely. Speaking the language, all that, eating the food, that all helps too, because we still do that here. And I wasn't, obviously I wasn't speaking English there, so it's the memories are in a different language. If that kind of makes sense. Yeah, it's pretty trippy. My dad was living in he's from Canberra, but he lived in Japan for 10 years, so like a decade doing work there.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we came to Australia. So we moved straight to Ipswich.
Which, for those of you who don't know, is a deep part of Queensland town that gets flooded a lot.
Yeah, well, it segues to the next carve, because basically the next carve goes 2011. And that's kind of like the origin story for like my art, so to speak, how I started dancing and all of that. So in 2011, there was like a mad flood, a really big flood. And it's pretty well known as the 2011 floods. And yeah, it like carved Ipswich, it carved Brisbane, it carved Grantham to Toowoomba, which is like a bit further up, like about an hour from here.
And when you say it carved, like how bad did it carve?
Like people died, many people died, and there are people still missing and so on.
Fuck.
So yeah, it was pretty devastating, and there was millions worth of damage. It happens every flood because floods are frequent,
And they're fast, eh? Like, did most people die by drowning, or by like getting stuck in a spot, or like hit by something? I guess it's all of them.
It's all of them, yeah. But debris is a big killer. Just sharp shit in the fucking water. Some people just like didn't leave their houses. They just want to stay with their house and they went under and all that.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's actually like a fire, eh? Pretty much, but it's water.
Well, Australia is the land of fire and floods, bro. They're the two main things we have. And then in between is the drought.
Yeah, fuck. It's weird because this place looks dry as.
Yeah, bro. And look at it today, man. Like that road's going to flood tonight.
So at this point, I thought it would be important to explain that the night we recorded this podcast, it actually flooded, all jokes aside, and it was one of the biggest floods in Australia's history. It was an insane experience for me. I'd never seen anything like that. And we were lucky to be safe and high up, but unfortunately a lot of other people weren't. People died, a lot of people lost their houses and are still in the aftermath of this devastating event. The following clip was filmed that weekend around the corner from Max's house.
In 2011, they didn't release the water properly and the water came all the way up here. Like right now, that's all 13, 14 metres. But then in 2011, that went up to 19.3 metres. So it really came up all through here. This is why those signs are like all over it. You don't see this in Sydney. You don't see this everywhere, bro. But it's part of the lifestyle here. This is why, bro, like people from overseas, like this would be a learning experience for people overseas who want to know about the history of flood dance, flood music, and like where, like the context of where the art comes from. Like this is a great example. But yeah, so there was that big flood, 2011, and during that time was real skits, bro, because basically October 2010, my dad calls it a one-tonner. So my mum did a one-tonner, which basically means you just leave your spouse and you take all their shit. And my mum did a one-tonner. So she took a ton with her. She took you? She took me and my sister. And it was just one day, man, like we had this little like half Japanese community in the Switch. My mum would go over there and for some reason we just didn't go home that night. And then we're on the highway and me and my sister are like,
Wow.
what's going on, bro? And mum just didn't say shit, and we just gapped, and for a year after that, we lived in safe houses. So like women's shelter type shit.
Fuck.
Couldn't say where your address is.
Yeah.
Can't tell anyone where you live, who you live with. We're under police protection.
Wow.
And then like my dad had like private investigators and Ipswich cops.
Whoa.
Versus like the Brisbane cops who were like backing my mum, and one lot's backing my dad.
Wow.
This and that. So yeah, it was hectic, bro. And during that time was also the floods. So we were like, had nowhere to stay. So like it was fucking crazy that year, bro. And that was very like a chaotic time. And my dad says it was quite biblical because a flood came, and it was a really big flood. But we were also like pretty mentally flooded too.
Yeah.
Like my mum was in shambles. My sister was like 6.
You were like 9,
I was
8.
11 or 12.
Oh, fuck.
Something
Okay.
like that. I think I was 11.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so it was cooked, bro. So we were like on the run, so to speak. But we had no house. There was at one point, bro, we just had our car, mum's car. It wasn't even her car. And we just had our shit in it. Yeah, bro. And like in 30 minutes, the water came up. We were staying with another Japanese lady. And yeah, we were just like going all around Brisbane trying to dodge this flood while running from cops. It was pretty hectic, eh? But
what happened to school during that?
I went to fucking like 6 schools.
Wow.
The longest we stayed was with an Indigenous family. They had 10 kids.
Holy shit.
Fucking rats and shit. It's cold as fuck. Like, it was pretty unpleasant, eh? It was not much job. No clothes, you know, they gave us secondhand clothes. They drop in food and that, and we just share it with the family downstairs type thing. So it was pretty weird. And then we moved back to this house. And it was by court order we got moved back because the cops, they'd like interview me and my sister, and they would always be like, you know, what do you guys want? You know, is dad safe to be with? Is mum safe to be with? Do they hurt you? Do they do this and that? And I was like, fuck, I don't know, you know.
Do you be honest when you're a kid?
Oh, well, I was pretty honest because I just want to go back to Ipswich. So if it was bad, I wouldn't go back to Ipswich. You know what I mean? I wouldn't go back to see dad and that. You know, I had no mates for like, because, you know, I had to keep moving.
Yeah, fuck.
Keep seeing all these cunts. So I was like, no, I want to go back and see my friends and be back in town and this and that. And like, it took months to recover from the floods. It was like a bomb had hit Brisbane and Ipswich. There was like mud everywhere. The insects fucking...
Would have smelt whack, eh?
But it was so rank. It was fucked. And, you know, there was people like looking for dead people and shit and checking in people's houses like, is all goods and this and that. It's kind of like housos, but like for like displaced families, homeless families and shit like that, single mother, this and that.
This is a nice as houso
It's so
house.
good, bro. This is like... It's because this was... We're the first tenants in this place. So they had just built this. And we moved in when it was just built. So we're the original tenants in this newer neighborhood. So yeah, we're so lucky. Because for a year, all the houses were trash.
Yeah.
And then we finally got put into a madhouse.
The way you talk is so funny, eh?
Yeah.
Like, it's a serious as story, but like, what's carve?
Yeah. Carve is just like when something's exceptional.
And is that like original flood, or is that like...
So
you were saying that long time.
Yeah, bro. So shout out to Ben Morcus. Our school, Bremer High, is the school I went to. And he used to say, carve it up. Now, carve it up is like, even my dad knows that one. So it's an old Aussie slang, carve it up. We just changed it to just carve. So now it's like, you can be on the carve.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways, like nouns and verbs.
Yeah. It's not just carve it up anymore, or carve up.
Yeah.
Some of my friends still say carve up. I'll rarely say it.
And you can also like be on that carve.
Yeah, you can be on that carve as well. Yeah, if you're going to carve someone up, you're like, yeah, just give them the carve.
Like you would be on the carve every night, right?
I'm on the carve every day.
Yeah.
I just carve. That's my whole thing. But yeah, you just got to student doing something exceptional. For example, segueing the 2011 story.
Yeah.
I came out like a carve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I didn't come out like a sook or whatever. I came out like a carve.
Sick.
We carved that whole experience.
Yeah.
But also like it can have like, for example, how much did the 2011 floods carve Toowoomba?
Yeah, and that's not good.
Well,
but it's doing an exceptional job of its work.
Did an exceptional job of its work.
Yeah.
Precisely.
And what's the Sheshkeka?
Sheshkeka is
just... fucked it up.
Nah, it's all good. Sheshkeka. So that whole thing, again, it's from school. It was our way of like swearing without swearing.
Yeah, right. Like when you say Pete's way, but actually that's just sweet.
Pete's way is eat swa. You know when you go, oh, can you pass me that thing? Like, oh, just, you know that thing? Oh, just pass me that thing. Like, you can't define it.
Yeah.
It's just that thing. It's on the tip of your tongue. So you just say, oh, bro, just grab me the Sheshkeka, bro.
Wow, that's great.
So this is like a universal word.
That's a spot, like, to put a word in for sure.
100. There's heaps of words, though. Like, but...
there are heaps
there's fucking
of words,
heaps,
eh?
bro. But...
I'm so comfortable in this setup, eh? But, yeah, so you danced. How did that happen?
Yeah, so like that whole story that I just spilled about the floods.
Which is, that's a carved story, by the way. It's actually exceptional.
Thank you.
What an amazing fucking story.
Yeah, well, it was an interesting story. It, obviously I've skipped so many details, you know, it's just like a general thing. But going through that at a young age, like it's like a bit of a childhood trauma.
For sure.
So it's kind of like, during that time, all I would do is play games. That was my only escape out of that. Was just playing video games. And there's this one game I played, it was called Halo.
Yeah.
And in that game, there's this thing called the Flood. And it's like this like parasite zombie thing in the game. And I was really scared of it. Like I couldn't watch it. It was scary as. My mum took our Xbox in the car when she did the one time.
Oh, that's fucking good move.
Because she knew I liked it.
Yeah.
And it was my coping mechanism during that time. So, so I was just playing that hard out, you know? And I found a lot of relatability in that Flood from Halo because its whole thing, you know the cliche zombies like, you know, it just takes over and eats your brains or whatever.
Yeah.
But the Flood from Halo is like, it was a mind parasite. Whatever it takes over, it could do what that person it had taken over of. So for example, if that person was good at computers, the Flood zombie could use computers and shit like that. And I just thought it was relatable on a mental health level because during that time it was like, fuck bro, like I feel like I'm flooded right now. I don't know what depression or anxiety or mental health is at that age. So the only way of articulating it was like the Flood.
Fuck.
Yeah. So that was the way of like going, oh fuck bro, like I don't know what it is, but fuck, I feel gross as, man. And then you step outside and it's flooded.
Yeah.
So it's like a pretty hectic parallel.
Yeah.
And I think like looking at it years later, I'm able to connect the dots much easier. Prior to that, I used to watch Australia's Got Talent. And I think the first time I got into seeing dance was like choreo crews on Australia's Got Talent. And I would like daydream about like the video game Halo characters doing choreo. On Australia's Got Talent. That was my first time like thinking about dance was with this game. Like imagine if I dressed up as a Spartan and then like did a dance. It's pretty crack up.
That's sick because you're not even like trying to imagine yourself really.
And then when we got here, we thought, oh fuck, we're back now. We're back in Ipswich, heck yeah. And then literally in the first 2 weeks we got robbed.
Whoa,
by the people across the
bro.
road. Crack up. By them. They lived in that house just there. We got robbed.
Are they still there?
They got cooked, bro. And they took all our shit.
Fuck.
They took the Xbox. They took the computers. They took everything. So I couldn't play games. I couldn't make beats.
Holy shit, dude.
So I ended up dancing.
You just on some bad luck.
Yeah, it was unlucky, man. And like we lost everything. We had no insurance because we just moved in.
Yeah.
And it was a Hauzo-esque place. So, and then they found where all our shit was and it got sold for drugs in Rockhampton. And they robbed us because we were Asian. But they were under the premise that because we're Asian, we might have some cool shit. Our room, like there's blood all over the house, glass broken, Fucking, they weren't much chop. Like, they cut themselves, this and that. They fucking stole my Blue Eyes White Dragons, the cunts.
What's a Blue Eyes White Dragons?
It's fucking mad Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And that's how we knew they were kids.
Yeah.
Because, like, they went through all my Yu-Gi-Oh cards and stole my Blue Eyes White Dragons,
So
the dogs.
annoying.
So a period of that time, I actually got really, like, violent. And I was breaking a lot of things. Hurting, like, my fists because I was punching windows and throwing shit and breaking doors and shit. I was very frustrated about moving every 2 weeks and then having cops at our door all the time and interviewing us and having no food and waiting for these fucking women shelter people to drop off food.
Fuck
Like,
that.
it was just annoying, bro. And I was like 11. Really, the gaming helped me a lot. Like, just playing video games, like, that really was my thing. But because they can't stole my Xbox, I had nothing to do. And that's when I got into dance. And my mum had just this fucking shitty laptop, bro. It was so shit. It was like Windows XP. It was so shit, bro. It looked like a fucking Nintendo 64. Like, that shit was cooked. Yeah, I was just on YouTube all the time. At that time, there was a very popular video, and I know a lot of people started dance this way, and it was this video of this guy named Was Good Too, and he had this famous video called Pumped Up Kicks, and it was like a dubstep dance video. And he did like waving and animation stuff. And I remember seeing that. And after that, I was like, bro, I'm going to try that. Like, I want to do that. And on that moment, I just got up and tried to like do it. Try to do it and like waving and all that. And then that's how it kind of started. And actually in this street, my mate Dylan, he danced as well. So we linked up and my mum and his mum became friends and we just do waving together. That's how things sort of kicked off, yeah. So in Ipswich, there's no classes. In fact, there's no dancing. And for 10 years, I've been like the only dancer here. There's fuck all going on. Dylan stopped dancing. And after 3 years, I was by myself. I would just try and learn off YouTube. After waving was the first thing I learned. Then I got into tutting. And me and Dylan love tutting. And I still love tutting. Tutting's mad. I like to do stuff with my hands, so I started getting into bone breaking. And then after that, I got into b-boying. And it kind of went like that. But to get onto the b-boying was when I went to uni. And so I went to Brisbane. And that's where I first met other dancers for the first time. I did first business management. So trash, bro. So trash. I hated it. And then I did political science and a diploma in Japanese.
Damn, how long did you finish it?
Nah, bro. When I went to uni, I met other dancers. Yeah, there's this society called Street Groove. They're like a uni society and they're still going. And that's where I met Amelina. So, and for those who don't know, Amelina is my girlfriend. We've been together now for a bit over 5 years.
Shout outs to Amelina.
Shout out to Amelina. And I met her there. I joined this crew here, Hot Chalk. So this is what that painting is. They're all from another suburb called Forest Lake and Inala, which is like next to Ipswich.
Were you like a pretty decent dancer by then?
Nah, bro. I was so shit, bro. And like Hot Chalk is like, they have similar stories to me. Everyone in Hot Chalk has a missing parent or something, you know, abandoned or broken up family, or one family still in Africa, one family member's still in Asia or whatever. We all came together because at home was a bit shit. So we just wanted to link up outside of home. And that's how Hot Chalk came together. It's kind of like a family outside of our actual families. And they were called Hot Chalk because they're all Africans and Philos. And then we just started calling everyone, oh, well, you're cream chalk, you're fucking brown chocolate, you're sugar chalk. And then Gabe, he's white bloke, so we're like, you're white chocolate. Fucking Daniel joined, Frectile, shout out to Frecky.
Shout out to Frecky.
He's got freckles, so we're like, you're choc chip chocolate, you know.
Sick.
That was a crack up. But when we went to the city, we got a bit of hate. Like, cunts didn't fuck with us, eh? And like, we'd rock up and the city cunts had this attitude or vibe of like, oh, who the fuck are these kids? Because the city guys, they went to dance schools and studios and fucking, they have teachers and all this shit. Whereas us lot, like I said, we just learn whatever we know. So our shit was all mixed. Like, I was doing a mix of like tutting, top rocks, bone breaks, fucking waving. That was my style. And that's quite widely documented. There's a lot of footage, old footage of me dancing like, and we were like, fuck, bro. Like, this sucks, man. We finally found the scene and they don't fucking like it. Yeah. So we trained really hard, bro. And then we started winning events and that. The only people that fucked with us was Golden. And they'd come up to us like, oh, where are yous from? Like, never seen yous. So, yeah, that's how I got into the scene. 2017, very late 2017. I met an OG crump dancer. His name's Bang. Shout out to Bang.
Shout out to Bang.
This was when I was starting to get carve-ish at dance. Carve-ish. I wasn't that much chop. But prior to that, I went to America. This is where I met Clarence. And this is a crazy story. I'm going to drop this. I got fucked over in America. And essentially I was scammed. And I was homeless in LA for like 2 days. It was so cooked.
Well, you got scammed by dancers, eh?
Yeah.
Or by a certain dancer?
No, I didn't get scammed by a certain dancer, but a certain entity that runs accommodation was shit cunts.
Yeah.
And then there were other dancers involved that made it worse. Mm-hmm. But it's all good. I hold no resentment. It's fine.
Right.
But I was 18 and Clarence was there in LA. That's how we became friends, is he looked after me for those 2 weeks I was there. And I labbed with him. And I was still doing my same bullshit, top rock, fucking tutting, bone breaking, waving fucking shit.
Yeah.
And he taught me heaps of shit. So then when I came back to the Hot Choc Lake and we did a battle. And that was my first time, like, actually, like, fucking them up. And everyone was like, fuck, bro. Like, what the fuck, bro? This and that. And I was like, yeah, can't. And that's where I add body control and ISO and all that bullshit after breaking. From there, we went on to meeting Bang. Sorry, I just had to include that because, shout out to Clarence.
Yeah, shout out to Clarence.
And Clarence comes into this Bang Universe story, so that's why I got to put that part in. When I first met him, he was looking for littles to take his name. And in crump culture, like, you can give your name to someone else and they take the name and the fam. I hadn't even learned crump at the time. And he was just like, what's your biggest fear? And I said, the flood. And he was like, the flood? And I was like, yeah, it's this thing, bro. And he was like, fuck, that's a mad name, bro. The Flood. And it was originally spelled F-L-U-D. About a week later, I decided to be in Bang's fam. And I started learning crump for 2 years until I started doing the flood stuff in 2020. So for that period of time, I was just playing around with flood, seeing what it is and messing around with it. And while I was doing that, I was learning crump. And during 2018, especially 2019, it would bleed into my rounds of anything. It got to a point where people started joining Bang's fam. Clarence joined. He became Kid Bang. I was Boy Bang at the time. And we wanted to put more people in the fam. And I started going up to people like, bro, you should learn crump. And they were like, yeah, we'll learn crump. But that flood thing, though, I want to learn that, bro. And then eventually I was like, oh, fuck, true, cunt. Crump's cool in that, but like, what about that thing, that thing you do? I was like, yeah, what do you call that? I'm like, oh, flood, bro. One of the first cunts to actually approach me on that was Aaron Griffin. And he's, for those who don't know, shout out to Sloth.
He's got a dance Bants. Check it out. It's really good.
Yeah. And he was the first person that I ever taught flooding to. It was just like a feeling. It wasn't really, there was no specific moves or anything like that. Until people started asking me, how do you do it? I was like, fuck, I better figure out how I'm going to teach this to people then. How would I show someone? So that was in 2019. And then 2020, Sloth was really motivating me and was like, bro, you should, this is carve. And then that's when in 2020 I was like, okay, I'm going to do flood. This is called flood. This is how you teach it. Boom, this is what I'm doing.
And so then you dropped it. And then a fucking bomb went off.
Yeah. So pretty much from 2019, I was already like, bro, yeah, like I want to just main flooding and like suss it out. So I thought I would make a scene with that in Ipswich. And so I dropped this vid It was like a 1 minute flood video, which everyone knows of. And it was just like a quick intro video to flood. Like, hey guys, this is what I'm going to do. My name's ThvFlood, and here's a website. Check it out. And here's some videos about the floods and blah, blah, blah. And I dropped it, and it broke the internet. And everyone went schizo. And predominantly, all the people that went skits were from outside of Australia. I would say 90% of the people were American.
Yeah, I was thinking that in my car today, that I wonder if anyone gave you hate from Australia. Because as a, like, objective point of view from someone in Sydney who didn't know you at the time, like, it was just a bit of a meme, eh?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, fuck, this guy's gotten himself into trouble, eh? And I think that's the extent of anyone giving a fuck here. But you'd have a better understanding of that.
Well, there's plenty of cunts from Australia that were trying to hate. Like, I'm sure there's more that aren't vocal. Because there's a lot of pussies here, bro, straight up, eh?
Yeah.
Like, they won't say nothing.
And when you say it broke the internet, like, we should explain, like, it really broke at least Facebook. Like, people went in on you.
Yeah, bro, people went skits. I think it was mainly on Facebook and Insta. Yeah, so but what happened was I dropped it, and everyone from Australia was like, fuck yeah, cunt. Well, everyone that I knew, anyway. Were like, that's mad. And then the interesting one that I don't know if people really know, but some dope dudes from the Philippines shared it. And they're quite well known. Shout out to Blackzik. So that blew up a lot in the Philippines. And the Philippines loved it. There's a lot of Filipinos on Facebook, eh? It's pretty crack up. So they were carving up the buttons, you know, sharing this and that. And then some Americans saw how big it was getting and were like, what the fuck? And then they started jumping on it. And then a lot of Americans were sharing it, and that's how it just blew up. And it did break the internet. They were arguing amongst each other. They were dropping lots of hate.
What was the core concept of the hate?
Well, there was a lot of things being said, for sure. The main contentious points really lied with the fact that I'm not American. That was a big deal. And the main point was that I'm stealing from America.
Most people thought you were a white boy, eh?
Yes, and then it got on this race thing. And people were like, he's white. And I got a lot of... That was the main shit, was like, you're white, so you're not allowed to do this. Shout out to the big homie Concrete. Concrete is my big homie from America, who is African American. And he came out and said, nah, he's Japanese. And that kind of fucked everything. They were like, oh, well, fuck the Japanese then. And then it got like, well, fuck Japan. And they just instantly changed the narrative for Japanese. And they were like, well, fuck Asians. Fuck you because you're Asian. Oh, he looks white. It became a discussion that wasn't even about the dance in the first place. And then taking the race aside, it was like Australia, saying that Australia's all white. And that obviously upset people here because the majority of people that do flood are black or Asian. And I got a lot of DMs, I got a lot of threats, abuse, a lot of like, just like racist shit, bro. Just straight racism. They're like, you're fucking this and that because of where you're from.
Is it true that you got a DM from Erykah Badu?
Yeah. So I got a DM from Erykah Badu. That's true. And she was nice, bro. She wasn't mean, but she was obviously, from my perspective, like not on my side. She didn't say anything bad though. But I do get a DM from Erykah Badu. Did you converse
with her? Did you like go back and forth?
I actually haven't talked to her yet.
You didn't reply?
I haven't replied. I haven't replied to heaps. In fact, I didn't reply to anybody. So
wow.
So it's not just Erykah Badu.
Yeah.
I didn't reply to anyone.
Did you get messages from other like, you know, big namers kind of thing?
Bunch of cunts with blue ticks. I don't know who the fuck they are. And yeah, and it was just like abuse, you know, people were just like, yeah, I hope you die, you know, I hope and then all this Japan shit like, you know, talking about bombs and fucking all this like crazy, just out of context shit. And it was just, that was probably the shit that fucked me up the most, was all that stuff. Typical like blasting tactics, like you put the person up and then you write walls of text and then just talk nonsense and just whatever they want to say about how white I am. You know, just stuff like that. And it was just going on. And that went on for ages. I still get it to this day. And I don't think it'll go away.
When that first happened, like, was it a shock? Like, you obviously weren't anticipating that.
3 months prior to doing this drop, I had a conversation with myself and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to sacrifice a bit to do this. Like, I'm going to get criticism and I will get hate. I was like, do I want to do this? Because I'm kind of scared what everyone's going to think. But I came to the point where I was like, nah, fuck it, bro. I got to do it. Do it for the Switch. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I went on with it, this and that. So I knew that there was going to be criticism and hate. But I didn't expect it to be this big. And I also didn't expect it to be this vile and like malevolent. And that's what was the part that I didn't anticipate. And one thing is, it's one thing to know or have an idea of what might happen, but that doesn't mean you're prepped for it.
Yeah. Oi, nobody is prepped for that experience, hey?
Fully. No one.
And having had it is like a weapon, I reckon.
100.
But we'll get to that, I guess.
For sure.
I'm so curious about, like, I don't know if I could literally survive the amount of hate that you got.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Like, it's pretty personal. Like, how does it feel?
Well, yeah, it was really personal. Like, I think, like, the dance stuff, it's all just subjective. There's a lot of...
There was a lot of, like, this is, like, flexing.
Yeah, so that was one main point.
And bone breaking.
Yeah, so that was one main point. They were like, he's stealing from flexing. And they still say it to this day. And then there's a lot of comments, too, where people are like, people still think that? And that's another thing we'll get into, because it's quite interesting how people have changed factions. And, of course, people that do certain styles would align themselves with those opinions and factions.
But, yeah, how'd it feel?
Well, the first day was fucked. And I was fucked for, like, a month.
Yeah.
I went into full depresso martini.
Yeah.
Like, I was full depressed for like a month. And I haven't been depressed since like the 2011 floods, bro. Like, since that whole story that I just explained. Yeah. So for a month, bro, I was like so fried. And there's actually a photo of me like just lying outside on the grass. And it's just like a mat and I'm just like lying there. And I went mute for about 2 weeks. I didn't really eat. I lost the appetite. I'd eat here and there, but I just lost the appetite. And yeah, I was just fried for 2 weeks and I was still getting a barrage.
Yeah.
And so what I did on day one was I got off the internet. In less than 24 hours, I was already getting the abuse shit. That was from the get-go. Like, it wasn't a build-up of, like, it was straight away, you're not American, you're not allowed, blah, blah, blah. Like, it just straight away, probably in the first 24 hours. So when I woke up and my phone was going off, I was like, bro, this is cooked. And Griff was like, bro, jump off, bro. And I was like, I'm jumping off.
When Griff says jump off, it's not good, eh?
It's not good. So I jumped off and I didn't come back online for like a month. Maybe over a month. Probably a month and a half.
Did you get like reports from anyone calling in?
Reports?
Like your friends?
Bro.
Like updates on what's up?
This is crack up, bro. I had cunts at my house ready to scrap. Like,
really?
For me. Like, people that I haven't seen in years, they're like, where are they? We're going to go fuck them up right now.
Right.
Like, the boys from the neighborhood were like, where the fuck are these cunts? Like, bring them here. We'll carve them. Like, and I had like phone calls like, bro, like, I'll bring the whole family over, like 100 Samoans. Let's crack up, bro. I had a giggle. There was some times where I had a laugh at it. It was pretty funny. But, yeah, and then there were people trying to contact me, but I didn't talk to anybody. I just wanted a break. And the only person that was with me was Amelina. And she was living with us at the time.
Wow.
So she was, shout out to Amelina. She was the
holy shit.
big
What
support.
a troopy.
Big support. And she was online and shit.
Fuck.
And she was trying to, and it was fucked, man, because they started attacking her and talking shit about her race and all that shit.
Yeah.
And what color skin she's got, this and that, you know, all that. And for those that want to know, she's Malay. So she's not white either. None of us are white or whatever. So
I'm white.
Yeah, you're white. Not white enough, apparently, for me.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, but the thing is, it affected her a lot. In some areas more than it affected me. And prolonged effects, too. You know? It wasn't like a one-off, like, okay, it's done, like, bruh, nah. It really cooked her for ages. And so, yeah, this whole month, man, I was fucked. And then slowly, people started coming over. Yeah, and I guess this is where the story becomes mad. Because people started coming over. And by a month, man, I was back. I started dancing again. And I was very hurt. But I was, like, in action. Like, I was training. I started training again. And during that period, too, the last 2 weeks, I made a beat tape. It's called Switch City Volume 1, and I dropped that. And that was like the first 10 Flood tracks. So I got into other shit at that time. Behind closed doors, there was a lot of support. Even publicly, there was a lot of support. Yeah, but then by then, I picked it up, man. Because I was like, I can't fuck around, bro. And then like from then on, for 6 months to a year, I had slowly like been recovering. And recovering and recovering. But the first initial month was the roughest. And then I could walk and talk to people and do shit. And it was so annoying. Clarence would tell you about this, but like for 6 months straight, people were asking me, bro, like what, you're right? How did it, are you all right? Like, which is, you know, it's all good, but it got cooked repeating the same story.
Yeah.
But it was all love. Like everyone was showing me love.
How did you weather that storm? And like, do you have any advice? It's an opportunity to have so much balls. And I feel like nothing could really touch you again. Do you agree?
Well, how I got through it was just tell the truth. That was the way out. And that's probably the most strength that you'll get out of something like that, if you know what I mean. Like people think, oh, it's just the hate. Like if you overcome that, you're auto like immune or whatever. But it's really being able to tell the truth and maintain your integrity as a person when you're in the middle of controversy or pressure. Telling the truth is how you'll get strength out of that situation rather than just experiencing it, if that makes sense.
Right.
Because you could experience it and handle it terribly.
What about like the voice inside that's like, oh, Max, you're such a piece of shit. That's strength, like inner strength, you know.
Well, again, that's why I said you got to tell the truth. You know, you got to speak the truth when that happens because a lot of the voices aren't yours.
Fuck yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, like, you have to speak the truth.
How do you find which voice is not yours and which one is yours?
Well, the ones that make you feel weak, you know? Like, when you lie, like, you get weak. Like, you feel it, like, oh, like, I know that's a lie. You know, everyone's lied. And when they lie, like, you feel it, it makes you weaker. But when you tell the truth, it kind of gives you a bit of, like, reassurance. It doesn't break you apart type thing. And there's no perfect method, bro. Like, there's a lot of things to unravel. And having hundreds of messages, it really was difficult. But I'm very grateful of having a good support system now. Because back during the floods and shit and all that, like, we were just me and my mum and my sister. That was it. But this time round, I've got friends, but good friends that tell the truth And that's a good thing about Australia, especially this state, bro, because, like, people are straight up here. You know, there's a lot of straight up cunts that will just tell you how it is. And they really helped me cipher through the rubbish. And that helped me articulate myself better and figure out what's the carve. And I think because of all that rubbish when I was young, I had built up a bit of strength from that, which has allowed me to handle my mind better.
Yeah.
Because of that, that if I was a rich kid, private school, fucking beautiful house, beautiful everything, and was fine, then maybe when that happened, I would have been too cooked and not been able to handle it. But I feel like the journey I've been on when I've been young has weathered me a bit for
straight up
for shit like that. Yeah.
Maybe I should ask a couple devil's advocate questions,
go hard.
Like why did you decide to drop the carve? Why did you decide to be like, I'm gonna make it my own, give it my own name, my own foundations?
That's a good question. Well, first of all, I dropped in 2020 because 2020 was a cooked year.
Yeah.
Fuck. 2020 was fucked, man.
Yeah.
COVID. There was protests all over the world about all kinds of shit.
It was really unfortunate timing.
Yeah, the timing. That's something else too. Like the timing dictated a lot of what was said.
Yeah.
In the hate. A lot of that. And that goes into politics and the current polarized political landscape in America at the moment.
Yeah.
That really contributed to a lot of... Because a lot of it was interesting. It was like critiquing originality with unoriginal thoughts. Like all those opinions that were written on Facebook, I have heard that a million times by other people who are drone AF. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was a big factor. And 2020 was just a mentally challenging year for everybody. And Flood having this mental health theme and story and origin with it.
Yeah.
I just felt like this is a good time to drop it. That's why I did it. I was like, 2020, this is a cooked year, so I'm going to drop it now. And again, this is why I had to talk to myself about it. Like, I'm going to get cooked. People are going to come at it.
What about the claims that it is similar to other styles of dance? Do you have anything to say about that?
I mean, you could say that about every single thing in the world, bro. Every style of dance has similarities. I don't think flooding is like a copy of anything. Were
you influenced by flexing, or was that random and bad luck?
I think
kind of thing.
I think it's a bit of both because, like I had explained, how I did bone breaking and tutting and shit prior. And in flexing, there are many styles of flexing. There's get low, bone breaking, connecting, pausing. There's all kinds of styles. And I only just did bone breaking and tutting. So the only thing is you could say, because I've done it before, there's an influence.
Yeah.
But I didn't see flexing and then go, I'm going to make flood. Why would I do that?
Exactly.
It's so dumb.
Yeah.
Why would I steal something and then it just doesn't...
Yeah.
It's preposterous.
I mean, some people are so dumb that they don't think that you would say that. Maybe that needs to be said.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I think it's preposterous. Why would I do that? Kind of doesn't make any sense. Honestly, bro, I stick by my guns.
Sick.
I stand by everything I put out.
Fuck yeah.
I stand by that. I look white, whatever you want to say about me, bro. But like I said, we got to speak the truth. And it's abundantly clear that flooding and flexing aren't the same. Or the same to anything else. And I think everyone knows that. I mean, I'm not going to try and convince anyone, really. I can say whatever. You can say whatever you like, but I'm not going to try to convince anyone. If you think that, sweet, bro. If it's because I used to do bone breaking when I started and that's why, fucking sweet, bruh. But we know what's true, and I'm not going to try and like make everyone believe and to make me look better or whatever. Like, I'm just going to keep dancing. And that was my response, was just to drop another Flood video. To touch on that, bro, I think it's a lot of ethnocentrism. A lot of them are from America and have, I would say, a parochial mindset on what Australia is. Yeah. And it all stems from an American epistemology about what's dance. And everything's judged by their standards of their culture.
Fully.
And the world revolves around America because they're the biggest country. And no doubt there's an influence from America. Of course, it's influence in everything. But the presupposition that because of my skin color I've stolen something is preposterous, bro.
It's pretty obvious to say this by this point in the podcast, but like, it's pretty crazy that what was central to the criticism for a lot of people was the fact that you're like not oppressed enough.
Yeah, well,
the switch is pretty bumpkin.
Yeah, it is, bro. Like, yeah, fully. But like, I'm not trying to be more oppressed.
Yeah, exactly.
Than other
and we're not trying to make that claim.
I'm not,
just it's nice to point that out.
Well, yeah, I'm not some rich kid from fucking private schools with everything and just decided to make a style because I want to be like something or whatever. Yeah. Like, that's just not. And I'm not trying to do that or anything. And that's pretty clear. I'm just kind of just letting it go. Just letting it happen the way it happens. You know what I mean?
Word. And
like, it's not like also with dance-wise, it's not like I'm just some kid that's been dancing for 2 years and then, out of choreo or something and then decide to, like I've been doing this over a decade now.
Yeah.
By myself mostly, representing Ipswich.
Yeah.
And I just want to put my city on the map and uplift the community here,
That is as authentic as it gets. And that's a good seg into like what I'd like to talk about, which is flooding now / the future of flooding. Because I was here like a month ago at my first Flood Friday and this whole conversation happened between us. And we were just discussing how much this means to a community to have someone offer something like this. So like to explain for people that don't know, Max holds Flood Fridays every Friday pretty much, and his mom cooks for everyone. And a lot of people turn up every week and they may not even come to dance. They might just come to eat because, as we sort of mentioned, Ipswich is quite bumpkin and it's becoming like a central part of people's lives and it's holding people up, which is so much bigger than just dance, and that's so sick and meaningful. And I don't really have a question about that. That's just a phrase. You want to like reply to it?
Well, Flood Fridays, bro. And this is mad, bro. Like, because,
And it is Flood Friday.
Today is Flood Friday, so people will be here soon.
Yeah, someone will probably turn up.
Yeah. But Flood Fridays, that's what Flood is, bro. Mama Flood. So everyone calls her Mama. She's just the mama in the neighborhood, we cook a feed every Friday, like you said, Flood feeds. And we have Flood music playing, Flood dance, Flood artwork. You can come here, do painting, freaking play some video games. Some people play Minecraft in the computer room. You can make beats. You can do whatever here. This is a space to flood. That's why we say we flood the space. And like, it just transcends dance. It's kind of like, there's nothing like this happening in Ipswich. And if we want to get on this race shit, like there are like Griff said, there are like 7 different DNA pools in this space every Friday, which is quite profound. You've got Indigenous Australians, Japanese Australians, African Australians, Asian Australians, European Australians, people of all different backgrounds, cultural and genetic, coming together for one thing, which is flooding. And a lot of people that come here, man, are from, like, it's not just from Ipswich, it's from And it's not just from places like this city. Everyone that comes here is from like Woodridge, Inala, Forest Lake, low socioeconomic places. Bro, there's some boys that come here, man, and they just eat the food. They don't dance. They don't know how to dance. We can teach them if they want to express themselves and that, but yeah, it's just a mad space. And everyone loves Mama, you know, because she's like, people come here just to rant to her about, or vent, you know, something about their home, you know, and Mum's like there for them. So it's like, it's a community, bro. We're cultivating a new culture in Ipswich. And this doesn't exist because the culture in Ipswich is drugs, domestic violence. It's not a healthy place for people to grow up if you're poor. So this is like a bastion of freedom here to come through and just like get away from trouble. You know, like kids coming here every Friday stays out of trouble and they can do something positive and like dance or make music or just have yarns, have feed. There's kids come here hungry, you know, or even my friends are like, bro, I just didn't want to cook tonight, eh? Mum's food's so good. So we're like, yeah, let's go. And this is very well documented. So for anyone that's curious about Flood Fridays, it's all on YouTube.
Oof, the food array is really amazing. Like, I wish I've tried some of these, but it is ravioli night tonight, and I keep thinking about it.
Yeah. It happens every week, and it's been happening since the hate happened. So, like, this is crazy, bro. So, like, before this, Mum didn't really fuck with my dancing. She was just like, no, like, just typical Asian mum shit, like get a degree, whatever. Or, you know, do something so we can get money. But when the flood thing happened, bro, like she was like, I'll cook for everyone every week.
Aww.
We're going to practice. You did it, Max.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And that was a big one for me. And she really helped me get out of this, bro. I forgot to mention that, but she was dropping these Japanese proverbs on me. And I don't know why, but like the mother language just hits harder. It just fucking hitting me, kind of. I was like, fuck. And that really helped me snap out. I started talking after that, eh? I was like, fuck. She was like, just on some samurai shit, bro. She's very like fight to the end type. And it's funny because she's so small, but she's so like, she's like, I will cook. Let's do flood. And I'm like, all right, let's go.
That's so amazing.
And then people started coming, man. And people were like, this is mad. And then we're like, how can we hate this?
Yeah.
This is so carved. Like, nothing's happening like this. And, like, honestly, who cares, bro, like, about, like this is why I'm doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I didn't have that. So
Straight
I
up.
want to do this. And we're not trying to be like, oh, look how hard we have it or anything. Like,
yeah.
that's not what the goal is. It's just like, we don't want to have it hard. We're actually trying to have it good.
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing it. It gives a lot of, I guess, meaning and purpose to what we're doing, and it transcends dance. The dance is the medium that people can partake in to address and express what they're feeling. So, yeah, Flood Fridays is very carved. And if you're someone, I guess, that, like, hates me and, like, hates everyone and hates Mum and all that, I would recommend to watch the videos on our channel. They're very wholesome. And
then come.
Yeah, and then come.
Because it is very wholesome.
I would invite people that hate me to come through. And let's just have a chat. Let's have a yarn. Maybe try learn how to flood, you know, and give it a go and then see how you feel. And if you still don't like it, at least you go home with a good filled stomach, you know.
And then they can drop you another DM.
Yeah.
On the way home.
Tell me how white I am. Mama Flood is like that's foundations right there.
Word.
She's
straight up. And
she protects everyone. Her spirit like protects everybody here. It's so positive, bro, because Ipswich has a really bad rep. You know, it's not a war zone here. It's not like fucking bombs and guns and shit going off every night. But like you said, it's like not much chop, bro. And so, you know, there's nothing like this happening anywhere else in this town. And people leave here because there's fuck all. So I was like, bro, I'm not going to rep Ipswich by myself for another 10 years. Let's build something for everyone to come around to. You can't hate on that, man. If you hate on that, you're just jealous, you know? We're not stealing or making money. We're spending money every week to feed everyone. We're not making shit. But we're making memories and we're making history. And that's what we want to keep doing, you know, and cultivate something for us. This is the thing, bro. It's like American dance styles and culture doesn't resonate the same way here in Australia because we have a different lifestyle here.
Yeah.
And so flooding is predicated of that lifestyle, the floods and Ipswich and all those things, because it relates more, and that's why people come back
and
every
we
week.
So need that, and we need more of that, because I think Australia is quite unsure of its identity in a lot of ways when it comes to dance.
100%, bro. Like, yeah, it's time to break that and grow some balls and be like, nah, cunt. Like, what about us? What are we doing? Because we're just sucking off other countries, trying to dance like them or replicate their culture and be gangsters, this and that.
Yeah.
That's not who we are, bro. And there's a quote from Randall Carson. He's a scientist.
Love him.
He said, if an idea stands the onslaught of criticism, it proves it's a credible idea. And I feel like flooding has done that in its beginning stages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With that being said, though, give flood 10 years. And this is something I said to myself in that hallway. Am I prepped to do this for 10 years and see what, like, this isn't like a 1 year thing and it's not a project or a fucking, like, we live this. We live flood. Like,
that's beautiful.
It's flooding right now as we're talking. Like, this is no fucking joke.
Yeah.
So, like, that's as organic as you can be.
Oh, that makes me all excited.
That conflict with the hate is just the beginning. There's plenty of more bigger battles to come.
Yeah.
And I need to be ready for it.
Speaking of battles, you danced in a battle. You were in the Bris Asia battle, which is like a big kind of national comp where Australia all comes together in Brisbane, of all places, and goes to Asia later. I don't really know, but it's like a government funded thing, which is like pretty big deal, and it happens in the Queen Street Mall, which is like pretty big deal, and the public gets to see dance, which I always love, but I don't know if dancers really love it. It's very big deal for the B-boys, and I guess for the all styles too, and then someone gets sent to Singapore. But anyway, Max repped the flood and you did a flood round, and it was really so inspiring. I personally just like loved so much to see someone doing anything different. You know, you were like so in your thing and you really repped the flood, which is exactly what you said you wanted to do. And that's so exciting because you're like actually taking it into a space that isn't really like ready for that, you know, and also into status, seeing you representing yourself after maybe they've heard about the hate and everything. Maybe you can talk about like what flooding is like physically and like to you what your definition of the movement is and like the feeling behind it, aside from the obvious story that you've just told.
So flooding is in its infancy, and it has a lot to go to be matured and like develop and become more defined. So what I would say is like right now, whatever I say now could change, and that I might not even be the one that changes it. Like it might be somebody else. But flood is a feeling. There's actually not a move or flood has flood dance, flood music, flood artwork. But like I get the same feeling when I do flood painting to when I dance. It's actually like a feeling. And the movements is just to articulate that feeling. And it stems from that mental health. That's where that comes from. That's why it looks the way it looks. It's not aesthetic. It's emotions and feelings. And there's actually a bit of a spiritual connection to it, considering we live on Ipswich, which is a flood plain.
Yeah.
It floods here all the time. And the flood from Halo is symbolic of where I'm from. And everyone here are Unky Jays and on rug days and shit. So they're walking like the flood from Halo. Everyone's
straight up.
Everyone's zombie here.
Yeah.
It's a slow city. That's why the BPM of the music is 40 BPM. That's why the groove, switch sway, follows that BPM, because that's where we're from. And that's what makes flooding new, is its context. We don't live in bustling neighborhoods or fucking alleyway city streets of New York. This is Ipswich. This is grass, fucking brown water, green trees. And this is very obvious in all the footage we've done. You see where we're dancing. We're not dancing next to graffiti and fucking cool cunts and shit. Like, and that's not bad. That's just a different vibe. Like, Flood is like in the bush. You know, there's clips of us dancing barefoot on red sand. So it all kind of plays in with the spirit of where we are. And then the feeling of being corrupted in the city with all of the drugs, all the violence. Going into the nature is like healing. And it's like a journey. When you do flooding, you kind of reach a point of that. And that is yet to be developed, in my opinion. But that is all stems from a feeling. The movements come later, you know. And to even go on the critique, like, there was a lot of critique of the moves. But for us, and I say for us because there's a few of us now that are really doing this, like, it's more than that. The moves come after. There's a spirit with it. There's something going on here. This isn't something trivial or superficial. There's definitely a connection going on here, and that has a lot to do with the land and the history of Australia. And there's all kinds. And I might actually not be the one to speak on all that, but there's definitely a connection there, and that is going to be a learning experience for the overseas people. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, there's no culture there, there's no history there. Bruv, this is where we educate, but it's up to them to pay attention. Fuck, man, this place is rich with culture and history. Aspects outside of dance have had more of an influence on Flood than the dance itself. And so that's what I would say it is. Flooding is a feeling.
Sick. That's a great answer.
We're now finally at a point where we don't have to follow anyone. We have to learn about ourselves and then express it.
That's beautiful.
That's why we're charting our own path now. And like the movements, I would say there's 3 basics and then there's 2 basic concepts. First one is the one that everyone knows locally, and it's called the switch sway. And that's the groove of the dance. And the switch sway, it's called the switch sway because it's from the switch and you sway side to side with your shoulders. So it's not a bounce. And the stance isn't grounded. It's a very upright, staunch stance. And that comes from our neighborhood. Everyone walks like that here. It's staunch. And they kind of sway with their shoulders up because it's like how people staunch up around here. And that's probably the most common move. The next one's the X step, which is a very basic step, but that comes from drunks and Unky Jays in our city. They're always falling over, and I see them on the train, and every time they do it, they make an X with their leg. So I was like, oh, bro, that's kind of drunk, eh? So I put that was a basic step. So it has that falling motion to it. And then we've got the switchblade, which in Australia, we don't have guns like America. You know, you can get guns here and shit. And there are people with guns. And there was shootings here recently. Some people have died recently here in Ipswich. In Gales, North Baval, Ipswich Station, people have been shot and killed. But knife violence is more common here. They hold it like this. And that's where the switchblade comes from. Instead of taking the piss on it and went, you know what, like that is where we're from, but let's put that in a positive carve. And that's how it kind of became a thing. And then we got extruding and warping. This is where it's more mental health. The extruding and warping is all about distortion. Quite apparent in like the paintings I do and shit. Yeah, extruding is actually from computer graphics. There's this button you click and it's called extrude. And when you click it, it makes a 2D shape into a 3D shape. And I was like, fuck, I could do that with my body. And then warping, we do it in the wrists a lot. It's different from wrist rolls. But to wrist warp is to bend and twist. That's what warp means, to bend and twist something out of shape. And so we use that same concept throughout our whole body, an Ipswich language. And that's essentially what the moves are for, is it's a blueprint for a language. And that's what we're creating.
I see that so much. The basics, they form such a great framework for any person to put in their own personality and story into it, which makes it so exciting because everyone who comes, it brings something very different out of them, but something more personal as well.
Well, yeah, that's that spirit part, bro.
Yeah.
Because you can't teach that. Griff and Lily just rocked up.
Griff and Lily are here. They should definitely come on.
They should definitely come on. For those who don't know, I've been talking about Sloth and Lily.
Whose episode I will link.
Yes, should definitely check it out. And he talks a little bit about flooding himself. But he's the first bloke I ever taught flooding to. Like my number 2 in the sense of like pushing from behind.
Yeah.
And fuck, man, that's a really, talk about humility, eh? He's like really backing, but from a good place. And he makes flood beats. He's the second person to make flood beats. So if you ever want to know who was the next person to flood after me, it's Sloth. And then we got Lilith, who's from Mullum. And
she'll have an episode soon.
She should, bro.
Oh, fuck.
Were you stuck? Oh. Really?
Yeah.
Damn, Maxwell. You look fresh as fuck. 120 mils is beyond wet.
We know Aaron from before.
Yeah.
But Lily is the woman from the garden from Aaron's interview. Here you guys are, and like tell us what's been going on today.
Well, we survived the floods yesterday.
I'm low on mana. Let's put it that way.
Mana. Not manner. You have great manners.
Because we've used a lot of ourselves on multiple levels. I've just had a little schlump in the car on the way here, 3 hours driving. What was it, 2 days ago? We were like...
8:30 in the morning, and I went to check on Campbell, who's in the video.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Campbell. Go for your dreams. This is what we're all going to die, so won't we just like do everything that we love and stuff?
And he was sitting inside naked on his phone, and I was looking not too far at all in the distance, and I was like, "Yo, Campbell." He was like, "Oh shit, that's come up a bit since I last looked at it."
Yeah, and then next minute we are carrying everything that he owns to a higher ground.
The kitchen.
His deck is built to the flood level, so like the water would go underneath his deck at capacity. But like you never really know what capacity is.
So as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we didn't know it was going to flood, hence our lighthearted tone. It was already beginning to flood, but it wasn't particularly serious at that point, and overnight it just went insane. I wasn't sure whether to keep this part in because Campbell's house actually got destroyed, and here is a photo of it. But I thought it was important to keep this in for context so that people understand the severity of the flood.
As the river widens and it fills.
Like massive rapid. Yeah.
And then I did the double boo-boo. I cooked this cord on the trailer that isn't mine and locked my keys in the car in one interaction with my vehicle.
And he handled it really well, I must say.
So then I learned how to break into my car with a shoestring and a coat hanger. And it took me 2 hours all in total. And then when we left, I forgot my herbs and I got real mad. And Lily was like, "You're affecting me and this is horrible." And I was like, shit. But now I'm here and it's good. It's really good. But I feel like we're going to get stuck here.
Like you really feel the power of nature when the rapids are you know, at the bottom of your kitchen. And like in the distance, Sky trying to retrieve his surfboard that was at the creek. Just fucking naked, bro.
Like
he
was committed. He was committed because he
like,
went
up
for
to
it.
Here in the water.
But then once he got it, it was like, I actually need to use this to get back. Like, and then he swam on the surfboard back.
I wish I got a fucking. Oi, check out the kangaroos.
Wouldn't want to let him put hands on you.
So I guess you guys are ready to dance.
I reckon Aaron needs it.
Exactly. Real quick is just like when you're trying to do something on your own and you don't get support, it's maddening. So the solution to that is find someone who's already doing it and help them. And so that's what I'm doing with Maxwell. Because if you remove like judgment and jealousy, then like we're just a collective. And so you just sort yourself into appropriate roles and placements and don't have like a judgment of like who you are or where you are or how old you are or how old or good someone else is. Just help them and then crazy shit happens. I'm pretty sure everyone's seen it. There's a viral video. It's at a Doof or a festival or something and everyone's on this hill and everyone's just like sitting and everyone's like, boy, I'd love to dance. But everyone's sitting. And then one person hops up, just like no judgment, and just starts flinging about. And everyone's kind of like, what? And then like another person hops up and like hugs him and then just keeps going. And then everyone's just like, and then the third person hops up and everyone's just like, and it's a metaphor for building a movement. And so find your two. And treat them really good. Your second and your third. Give them like responsibilities. Give them love.
Power of 3.
The power of 3.
Multiplications of 3 are really good. So, 3 times 3 is 9.
Flood dance is important. It's because it's relevant. It's happening now. So much uproar about someone creating. Another reason that this has happened, by the way, that uproar, is because the rest of the world gets told a specific view of Australia through their media. Like shrimps on Barbies and just dumb shit. They make this place look stupid. This place is epic. This place is crazy. And we're like blessed. We're super blessed to live here because we're all just like soaking up its wisdom. Like you can't not. And so cool stuff is happening here and we're documenting it and it's turning heads pretty much, especially when powerful, potent young people have older cats and younger cats that are like standing beside them, behind them and supporting them. Being on the lowlands, the floodplains, the flats, and like being from the city, it makes sense that there's like this grotesque space or initial style that come through because it's like if you're expressing a flooded, corrupt city, you would be expressing the muck and the mess. And then it also makes sense that you would be trying to find the exact opposite of that. The calm, the breath, the slowness, the beautiful. No matter who you are, we're all trying to get closer to something and get further away from something. We're always aiming somewhere and leaving something behind. So I'm talking heaps of shit, Maxwell.
Lily, you have a dance background or a background as somebody who did full time at 16 and then kind of like came in and out of dance. What feels different about flooding for you and vibe?
Dance has always been something I've done for expression and healing. I loved it so much that I left school and did full time. And that was pretty soul destroying. So yeah, that was a bit of a journey. And I think like I've come back to dance after such a long time for healing again. And so meeting people like Aaron and Max and you are just completely changing my life. And I'm so grateful to like be able to come back to something that was always like so deep in my soul and my heart and like heal so much of what like I've been through. And yeah, but yeah, the power of water, like the dual nature the life and the death, and that being expressed through movement is what I think flood is. And coming back to an honouring of the water is vital for our connection with the earth and to ourselves, because without water there is no life. To come back to my love for dance in a way that complements who I became without it.
Wow.
I'm going to cry.
When you find a pure spirit or like an all spark, which is Maxwell, you put his spirit right on the arrow tip and then
Yeah.
you stretch it back and you see that thing twang. Props to you, because there's not many. There's not many all sparks. Like, no, you're like a pure spirit. It's just like undeniable.
So, bro, like my sleeping. Okay, this is a thing to drop. Let's see how many jokers have made it this far into this episode, because this is where we start dropping like Carve Town.
3 hours.
Yeah, good 3 hours. We're going for 3 hours now. But when we're talking about all the hate and that, like a couple of hours ago, one thing I didn't mention, but something we've been talking about recently, is like I copped a lot of curses. Like a lot of curses, like dark curses. A lot of like spelling, casting spells. And one of them manifested in a way that impacted my sleeping, which you guys are all privy to. And Lily's been a crucial role in addressing my sleeping and healing it. Because I was, as you guys know, I went to that Big Bang battle. We made it to the finals and I was on 1 hour sleep. And I was so cookless every time I went for the carve. I was just like, fuck, this Sheskika's carving me on the brawlocks. And I was like, brah. Some certain individuals went deep in their lineage to drop some curses on me. Straight up, cunt. They know. And that, all I can say is we won. That is what makes you beat curses, eh? Is showing love to yourself and aligning yourself with the truth. Because like when you lie, you're at war with reality, and it's a hard war to win, eh? And being truthful and giving love to yourself has allowed me to defeat curses. So we need to stop fighting each other and, like certain people have said, support the real and really be able to uplift each other, because ultimately they want infighting. Get ready for the carve. Come have a feed, eh? Come say good day to mama, give her a hug. Watch the footage, listen to the music, and you will see that you will be free and you can heal and embrace grotesque and elegance. So yeah, flood the space, people.
Feeling really lucky to be here in the company of all of you guys. It's pretty exciting and overwhelming. I think that's a good place to end it. Thanks for watching Dance Bants. This has been episode 43. I'm Keithless. You can like it and share it if you want, and I appreciate you making it to the end if you did. See ya.